he just jumps up and goes, "You want to read the Bible?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And completely out of nowhere, he just throws me this idea. I'm like, 100%. So we were all serving on a mission trip in Puerto Rico, me and most of the high school youth at Holy Cross. So we spent the week serving in Puerto Rico, great time. But then we were left with this afternoon on Friday. And so that evening, it's probably like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. All of the high school youth is like, okay, I guess we should probably start working on our homework now. And me, I'm like, I have no homework. So I was sitting there by the window, which overlooks the beach, kind of stoically journaling, or at least trying to journal, because I kept getting distracted by, just looking at the ocean, because it's not like we have that here in South Dakota. And Gage, he's sitting there too, and so he's sitting there kind of fidgeting. He just jumps up and goes, "You want to read the Bible?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm reading Jude to Gage, and he is just very engaged. He's leaning forward, he's listening intently and asking me questions. And as he and I are talking by the window, slowly the girls start finishing their homework and they start leaning forward and they're like, listening, and they're asking questions. And so soon enough, it's probably like 10:30, maybe close to 11. And we're done talking about Jude, but the conversation didn't end. They wanted to know more about, well, what else did you not say during your sermon that you would say? And so I just kept going into it. And we had this conversation about, faith and future. And, I had a unique perspective of, not being like, oh, when I was in college 20 years ago, I could tell them, here's what my life is like now. Of course, you get back to Sioux Falls and it's like, well, we don't want to just leave that in Puerto Rico. So they named it Nolan's Nighttime Knowledge. I mean, it rolls off the tongue really nicely, because I know when I was a high school youth at Holy Cross, there was never, and there still isn't, a college community, And so since I'm a little bit closer to them in age and similar experiences, and yet still I have unique, because I'm in college and they're not, I think it's important that I can share what, I've experienced. And it's different coming from someone who's 21 and not, 45. No offense to any 45-year-olds. You're all very wise. Now in this position, I'm like, right, I can fulfill that for somebody else now. And I think especially with, the travel and the mission trips, and even just, living on campus, going, around to different churches, having different communities of faith, it's like, I feel like I wouldn't want to just keep that all to myself, right? I want others to experience that too, or at least, to taste what I've experienced, so that way they can take that and then do something with it for themselves. In Puerto Rico, during the genesis of Nolan's Nighttime Knowledge, that's one thing I talked about is praying. I would love to see one of these guys step up and pray. And they really took that to heart. And so the next morning, our actual final day, right, when we're leaving, we take Ubers to the airport. And so we get out of our car, and they get out of their car, and they come running up to me. And they say, "Guess what we just did?" I said, "What?" They said, "We just prayed for our Uber driver, just on the ride here." And they said that their driver really needed that. And she said that she called the youth beautiful on the inside and the outside. And I think that was a moment that they can cherish, but it's definitely a moment I can cherish too. So use your position and your current season of life to connect with those that are almost going to be in your shoes. I think that's really important, and it's been very impactful for me too.